Just when Disney thought it was safe to come out and look over at what's happening in Universal Studios, surely nothing in 2024. It's Epic Universe next year, right? Surely Universal would not do anything that would pull audiences away this year. Tiana's Bayou Adventure, that's supposed to save the day. Oh, Disney, don't look this way. It turns out that the Dreamworks land they just built for cheap, well, we think it's better than Galaxy's Edge for the kids. Hello, folks. Welcome to the swamp that is the Pro Channel. We're making jest, folks. It's not a swamp, of course, but we do like that boulder. It's a nice boulder. We're talking about Shrek. We're talking about Kung Fu Panda. We're talking about all of those wonderful Dreamworks properties that are coming to life in Universal Studios. No, not Epic Universe. That's coming next year. It turns out that this new expansion that Universal Studios did without spending a whole lot of money, well, it's a grand slam with families, with kids, with the children's. And folks, we're here to tell you that's what vacation seems to often be about, especially when you have, well, said children. So folks, Galaxy's Edge at Disney, all that money spent, billions of dollars on both of the versions, and guess what? They're not as good as getting to meet Donkey. We'll bring on the panel, we'll tell you what's going on right now.
It's like 4 hours long. I was so tempted to send it to you and ask you if you'd watched it.
I saw it.
It's so good. And she pointed out something that I forgot. Have they really gotten rid of the Jedi Temple training, which was the coolest thing for every single kid going into Hollywood studios?
It's just an empty thing. It's just an empty thing that just stands there. Yeah, they don't do that anymore.
Barren stage.
To me, that was worth more than Galaxy's Edge as far as
for the children. It's like all the stuff that they did for free for the children to get them excited about Star Wars. It doesn't exist anymore. If you wanted to build a lightsaber or a droid, you're paying a few $100s just to have an experience for the children. But before, like the children could they would march in the parade as a Jedi. They would do the Jedi training. It was all, part of your ticket. So
and Jay, you got to pre-reserve those now. Have you noticed that? Where the droid station isn't even open anymore unless you make a reservation ahead of time?
Yeah, see, there's some weirdness going on with that too, is because there's never really anybody in there. So I'm wondering, and I don't know if this is true, if they just cut back staff.
They're also making people prepay for it.
They're making people prepay, which is so stupid because it's like once they get in there, because what happened when people would reserve it, they would get in there and they're like, okay, it's like $300 to build your lightsaber, and you could hear Yoda, I ain't paying for that crap. Like, I'm out. So then it's like, well, we got to pay in advance. So before you even know what you're going to get. So it's crazy. It just doesn't make sense. It's like how to have an amazing business that you could be making billions of dollars where you're like, let's do everything wrong to the consumer, to the customer.
Oh, come on, Jay.
Let's make them go crazy.
If you bought the Batman franchise, you would put up movie after movie out without Batman in it. You'd do that. That would make sense. Oh, wait.
I know. But I mean, I'm just so like what I'm saying is like the Dreamworks land, which isn't open to the public yet. It's amazing. They rebuilt Shrek Swamp, which looks just like the movie. Imagine that. You can buy like a Shrek pretzel with green cheese sauce, like part of his swamp. Mm-hmm. They built a Trolls area that looks just like the movie with the music from the movie and the characters from the movie. They did a whole dojo for Kung Fu Panda, right? With Poe that interacts with the kids, and like it's from the movie. And you're just like, this is everything that I remember from the movie. It's just, it hits you in the face. It's all nostalgia. It's like, this is cool. I saw this in the film. This is cool. This is cool. This is cool. And you're just kind of like, what is the other guy doing, man?
Right. Okay. So I have to point this out. Pro has seen the same documents that I've seen. Internally, they're talking about how Epcot.
Whoa, Jonas. Let's go back to our code words we use on the show. We have sources who have told us, Jonas.
Okay, we've seen documentation, or we have sources that have told us that Disney believes that Epcot was made into a kids park because of Moana's journey into water. And this is something that appeals to kids because it's got the Moana IP attached to it. When you look at how much money and how much of that park was locked behind a wall, and it sounds like Morocco is locked behind a wall now anyways.
So 3 years behind a wall, they built some water sprinklers. And every time I have gone, half of it is not working and back under construction. Every single
You're talking
time.
about
Moana. Every single time. Even some of the vloggers that I know that I've seen there, and then I go back to like see their videos, they have purposely like recorded everything so you don't see the walls that are up. They're like, oh, it's so much fun here. Yeah, I can play with
gotta get that media pass, Jay. Can't lose the media pass. Don't show the wall.
You spent 3 years building this thing and it broke down in a month. Like,
don't comment. Jay, don't tell them it smells like sewage. Don't do it.
I was about to say, did you hear about the mold infection that they had already? Like that they had to break up the ground and that happened. I think just like 6 months ago. You're just like,
this is going to go swell. This is going to go swell.
Jay, they just look. This all comes down to the people they let go in Imagineering and in general around the parks. They've lost institutional knowledge that they'll never be able to recover. There are some manual processes in various parks, specifically Magic Kingdom, that I believe they were going to have a big problem with, because when something stops working, there's nobody there that knows how to fix it.
You would think they would learn the lesson from the Galactic Star Cruiser, that everything that they did that they thought was such a cool idea, and that goes, no one can convince me any different. That goes right up to Kathleen Kennedy's doorstep with Matt Martin, who's part of like the storyboard group, who is in every single Galactic Star Cruiser video. I'm like, yeah, we did this and we're doing this and we're doing this, on how much like money that they literally just threw in the toilet. You would think that they would learn from all that. But
wait, you think that you thought they would have learned that they should have done Tatooine and not Galaxy's Edge?
So listen, Galaxy's Edge is an amazing you could turn the dial twice and fix it easy.
Yeah, you could.
Boom, boom, and it's fixed.
Because it was already there.
Like you could fix it. The Rise of the Resistance ride, for what it's worth, even though it's sequel trilogy, is very unique and very different. And I do recommend people, even if you don't like Rey, to experience that and judge for yourself, because it is more than just a ride. It is just like, has anybody here done this? It's just me and
4
Culture.
rides.
So yes. So it's such a unique. But when you see it from the line till you get off, you can literally look and say they could change that easy into an original trilogy and a prequel, and they could advertise it differently. It's not that hard. So it's like even changing Galaxy's Edge. The biggest thing is if you just play the Star Wars theme, like some John Williams music while you're walking around, I'm telling you, more people would just be like, wow, that's crazy. The fact that they put themselves in a ridiculous, not my channel, timeline where it is The Last Jedi and the Rise of Skywalker, where they don't want to add anything else. Now they're trying to break that a little bit. They're like, well, we'll have Mandalorian out, but only for 5 minutes, and we're going to put him way in the corner so he doesn't interrupt other people's galaxy adventure at Galaxy's Edge. It's like, what are you stupid? Like,
I mean, this is like marketing 101 right here. You know, they play romantic music in theme parks because they want women and men to be nostalgic for their families and want to do special things for their families. If you are at the most expensive place to buy a lightsaber in the world, why would you not be playing Star Wars music?
Duel of the Fates.
I would say that the lack of atmosphere. Yeah, no, sorry, John. I would say the lack of atmosphere is noticeable. I mean, outside of walking in certain areas where you hear some spaceships taking off and landing that aren't anywhere close, you have no kinetics there. I'm going to talk this to death. The third attraction was an absolute requirement, and not having it robbed us of like multi-level kinetics, because there are none. There's no activity going on over your eye line. There's nothing happening overhead. There's nothing to draw, your gaze to the top of that beautiful area that's built behind the Millennium Falcon. Right?
Oh, what about those X-wing drones that they showed to investors and then they parked them in a museum?
Showed up.
Yeah, never once for guests, just for investors.
The biggest ripoff that they do in Galaxy's Edge, that you guys might have covered it as well, is the photo pass. So now they want to pay. They want
yeah, we had such fun making fun of this. Tell them, Jay.
Oh yeah, okay. So like they want people to pay $100, and you get a photographer to take a picture of you in front of the Millennium Falcon, and you're just kind of like. And then the other two places where you take a picture in front of, one is in front of a bathroom, right? Because we watched this happen. We're like, there's like a little sign next to the bathroom that they stand, and they're like, they have people do this. And then another one is a brick wall or a rock wall that has nothing to do with Star Wars, where I guess they surprise you, where they might put in Baby Yoda or whoever. Like they just basically Photoshop. And I'm like, that is the biggest freaking ripoff. Like you
Jay, don't you make fun of their clip art. Don't you make fun of their clip art.
Do they clear people out of the way for the Millennium Falcon one? Like, how does that work?
No, they erase them out of the picture.
Oh, okay.
Guys,
but you can do that with some of the Androids.
With your phone, right?
Pictures, yeah, and then you could just touch them and like they'll erase the people out of the back. So it is like, so that's one of the things they used to sell at Galaxy's Edge here in Orlando. I don't know about the other one, but when they sold the green and blue milk, they used to you were able to get it by like a liter, right? They sold these liter. I don't know who would want a liter of that stuff. It's nasty.
Oh.
No one's in line. Like every time we're there's no one in line to get the milk anymore. I think the word has gotten out that it tastes like crap. Plus, if it's 150 degrees out, you don't want to drink anything resembling milk on a hot day. You know, good job on that one. So
it's not butterbeer.
They took that stuff away. Like they took all that away. Now it's just like one little, you know, they changed it because nobody was buying that stuff anymore.
I was also I was surprised to find out that now we have like 3 different commercially available. Well, I guess the Galaxy's Edge, the Galactic Star Cruiser one was a different formulation as well. So, and then there's the stuff that they just put onto shelves for May the 4th.
Jay, just for comparison, when you go to butterbeer, especially the frozen butterbeer place in Universal, that in the summer, there's a line that's like a half a mile long.
It goes outside of Harry Potter, Harry Potter area because it's so long. And now they just made butterbeer popsicles, which like people are like they're buying like their knuckles are filled like they're walking out with their families like with all
their Wolverine.
So
okay,
it's like
I'll tell you the what they did with Star Wars in the Disney parks, where they decided to not make it based on anything at all. Like you said, they're taking pictures now in front of just plain rock work, and then they use clip art to make it feel like it's Disney. You know, it's like if a company said, hey, we've got the rights now to do Batman in our theme parks. Let's make a giant Gotham. And the CEO said, no, I don't think
but Pro, let me
Gotham.
ask you this. Imagine Universal gets the rights to Harry Potter, right? The Harry Potter franchise. Imagine if they spent all that money and said, hey, welcome to Bob's Place. You've never heard of this, but it's the avenue that Harry Potter didn't walk to, you know, and part of like
Harry Potter, like, Argentina, the place you never heard about in the books.
Could you imagine like how much of a disaster that would have been, where they completely made up a town and just stuck in a bunch of stuff that nobody knew about, and it's just like, where am I? What am I doing? That's literally what they did with Star Wars Land. It's like, what are we doing? And
there's so much they could have done too if they had done original Tatooine. I mean, you obviously have the prequel stuff. You could have a ride like the pod racing. That is literally a built-in ride, and they chose not to do that.
It was laid out. Look, everything was supposed to be 22.5 degrees rotated, which would have left more space for Pixar to develop, you know, Radiator Springs Racers or whatever.
Exactly
else.
Right.
And that's how it was originally supposed to be done. That's not what they decided on. And they had so many construction follies along the way, including burying the tracking strip in the cement upside down. They had trouble. The contractors couldn't lay it in properly because they were putting it in upside down, which cost them a whole lot of delays.
I remember they messed that up.
Yep.
But here's the thing too. It's like when the fact that you make a Star Wars land and people don't understand it. So then you write books and then you write stuff to try to make Batuu relevant in the Star Wars universe. Here's comic books on it. They did that with the Star Cruiser. They rewrote the Star Wars lore history to add the Star Cruiser in it. This is where Han and Leia had their honeymoon. This is this is that. Like it's all in the High Republic now. It's all in this to try to make it part of that's not how it works. That's not organic. That's not how people will be like, oh, well, I bought this comic book for you, Billy. Now you understand Batu. It's just not how it works. It's such an easy fix. Hey, from Rope Drop to 11, it's going to be prequel characters walking around. Hey, then after from 12 to 3, we'll have original characters walking around, you know, and then do your sequel trilogy. Fine. They'll be walking around at that time. Let the people know and let them decide. Then you'll see, right? Where you're going to make your money. They can make a ton of money with Star Wars if they wanted to. They just like
Jay, they can't do that. It would be too embarrassing. They'd have lines of people for the prequels. They'd have lines of people for the OT, and they would have nobody lining up for the characters from the Disney.
I mean, if I ran a company, sometimes you got to eat some crow and be like, we want to make billions of dollars again, so this is what we're going to do. It's just an easy fix. I wish I had saved this, and I don't know if it's out there anywhere in the internet. I know the internet is forever, but I'm telling you, I saw a poll that was on Twitter years ago before they made the Star Cruiser Hotel. And I think it was either the Disney Parks poll or something. It's no longer exist. I can't find it anywhere, right? They made a poll and they're like, hey, if we were to make a themed resort, what would you like? They had Haunted Mansion, they had Star Wars, they had Marvel, and I think they had one more. I can't remember. It was like a Pixar film. It might have been Toy Story. I don't know. They had those 4. The Haunted Mansion Resort was like at 99% with like 10,000 votes, right? 10 or 20,000. It wasn't even close, right? Star Wars was like number 3, but it wasn't even close. It was like 99%, 1%, 1%, 1%.
Yeah.
And then like a few months later, and I remember looking at that and I was like, you know, if they built a mansion, like the Haunted Mansion, and they did the theming and all that stuff, that would be freaking cool, right? Like I would want to stay there. But then like a few months later, they're like, well, we're going to have a Star Wars hotel.
And folks, it is over yet again. We will be back though, because we believe in doing so each and every day for you 3 times a day. So more content is coming to you. And folks, as we get ready for that additional content, we only ask one thing. If you enjoyed today's video, and only if you enjoyed today's video, consider clicking the like button, share, subscribe, click it, stick it to the algorithms, it's the notification bell, and drop a comment down below. Folks, wherever you are and whatever you're doing, keep learning, keep growing, and as always, wherever you are, in whatever theme park, keep having fun.